Yeah, your voice is breaking.
Yeah, it's really very hard to understand.
Are you able to hear me clearly now? Okay, let me see.
No, it's breaking. No, still it's breaking.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, great. So in the last class, we have discussed some concepts related to agile methodology. Like we discussed what is agile methodology, and we discussed why agile methodology is followed nowadays and what are the advantages of agile methodology. And we also discussed some other things like what are the principles an agile methodology is based on. And we also discussed some introduction about the agile flavors, some of the flavors that current agile process has. So these are the things we did some introduction actually. So to summarize it, I will give some summary from last class discussion. So every company does work. So they follow a process while doing a work. And there are many processes that are developed and being followed by many companies. And in that processes, few of them famous processes are like RUP, waterfall methodology, iterative methodologies like agile is one of the iterative methodology. There are other methodologies also available. So basically a process methodology is the way in which the work is done or completed and delivered. So agile is one of that methodology, and this is one of the mostly used methodology. This is mostly one of the mostly used methodology currently in the current world. And that's what we discussed in the last class, and today we'll continue the class again. We discussed what is agile, and we will discuss today about Scrum. So Scrum is a flavor in agile. It's one of the flavor in agile methodology. It is like in Scrum we do work. Work is done in iterations.
Excuse me, I'm sorry to disturb you. Are you sharing your screen?
Screen, yeah.
Sorry. We are going to discuss Scrum today, and Scrum is a flavor in agile methodology. And in Scrum, work is done in iterations named sprints. So in Scrum, we do iterations, means we complete the work in periods, time periods. We name them as sprints. So sprint is like a sprint is a period of time. You can period of time. Sprint is a period of time. Normally it is something like 2 weeks, or 4 weeks or 6 weeks, depending on the team availability and their work nature, they fix the size. And that's one thing about a sprint. And the other things to know in Scrum is something called product backlog. Some other keywords I am sharing with you: user stories, and we have some other things like team, like Scrum Team, and Scrum Meetings, and we also have Kanban Board, and we also have some other concepts like to discuss, like Burndown Chart, and there is some other thing called team velocity. And in Scrum meetings, we will also discuss some other things like sprint planning, and we will discuss again in sprint planning about grooming, pointing, asking. We'll discuss all these things. Okay, so don't be I'm just writing everything. So sprint planning, then daily stand up. We will discuss what is daily stand up, and then sprint refinement meetings. So these are all meetings. Okay. Next, sprint review meeting, sprint retrospective, meeting. So these are the some of the meetings, and we will also discuss a team generals, team structure, or general Scrum team structure that is followed nowadays. Who are people or participants in a team? Those also we will discuss. Okay, so we will start with a general team structure, then we will discuss all these things today. So this is not a standard structure that every team need to have, or every software development team need to have. Everybody can come with their own structure according to their type of the work they do. But essentially, there are some players or participants or team members for a Scrum team. I will explain you the people designations or roles and what they do. So let me start with somebody called a Scrum Master. Okay, and tech lead, or he's also can be called lead developer, and business analyst, and developers, business analyst, developers, quality analysts, UI designers, or UX designer. Then also we can have some other people apart from these. These are not called team, but they are related to the project manager or managers. And there can be a team lead. Sometimes we will have a team lead also, or tech lead or team lead. Yep. So yep. So project manager, and we have client. We have some. These are all people are called stakeholders. Or we can have here some other positions. So we can have like architect. He can be a part of team. He may not be a part of team, but it depends. Okay, architect and subject matter experts. Yeah. So these are the people. SME. Okay. So a general team structure or team will be comprising of these people, and these are the other stakeholders in the project. Can be a CEO, CTO, and some higher people also as stakeholders. Okay, so we will discuss what each does. So a Scrum Master is a kind of a person, and he or she they primarily work on the process. They work on process. So they monitor the process, they design the process, they ensure the process is working for the team or company, and they are the one who work on designing the sprints, and they conduct the most of the meetings. Like all these meetings will be headed by a Scrum Master. He is the one who takes care of these meetings, and except the refinement meeting, all meetings generally Scrum Master is the one who acts like the person who takes care or monitors the meetings. And he is much concerned about the process. He monitors the process, defines the process, and manages the work. He manages the work like he decides uh, who all people, how much amount of work we can take based on the number of people we have. He's the one who decides that, and he reports the progress. He is the one, he reports the progress to stakeholders, to these people, saying that okay, you gave me this work to this team, and this is what we have done these 2 weeks or this sprint, and we have accomplished this part, and we have struck here. We decided to complete this many points, but we have completed only these, or we have exceeded the number of points we committed. And he reports the current risk of the project, and he shows the charts that makes the people understand how much work is done. So Scrum Master is a person who takes care of the process and reports the progress. So takes care or monitors or manages or prepares the process. Okay, then tech lead or team lead or lead developer or lead simply. He's a kind of a person who guides all the people in the team. Okay, so something like he guides the QA people, he guides the business analysts, sometimes he guides the developers, he guides these all 3 category of people. He is the point of reference for the stakeholders to talk about any technical stuff to the team. So he is a kind of a lead developer who has more experience with the technologies, or with the experience with the work, or with the experience with the business, or some kind of stuff, and they make them a team lead or tech lead. And after that we have, so he is kind of a lead, simply we can say lead, the name itself says lead, primary person. Okay. And the business analyst is a person who works on the requirements, and converts the requirements into technical specifications. So he gathers requirements and convert the requirements to technical specifications. Okay. So he or she is a person who gathers the requirements, and they convert the requirements into technical specifications. So something like now a project manager comes and he says, I want to design a application so that people can use it for some purpose. Let us think that's a business idea of the project manager. So project manager is kind of the person. Oh, we have one more person called product owner. Sorry. So a product owner comes, not the project manager, but product owner. Sometimes both will be the same. Product owner comes and says, okay, I have a vision. I have a vision to develop a product or a software application. And he comes with a vision. And that vision, he talks to the business analyst. This product owner can be a client also. He can be a client, or he's a person who talks to the client and then talks to the business analyst. And he is the one who answers any questions related to the requirements. Kind of, he comes with a vision, and the business analyst talks to the product owner or client, and then gathers those requirements. What are your requirements? How you want your product to be designed, or how you want what all things your product need to have, and how large it is, how many people are going to use it, and what type of platform you want your product to be, and all the things like how you want people to log in, or how you want secured your application, the quality, the design, the concepts, everything. The business analyst collects those requirements and then converts those requirements into technical specifications. And those technical specifications, once they are converted, those are called stories. So they design the stories, like they design one story, like business analyst designs the stories, or writes the stories saying that this need to be done, this part need to be done this way, or these are the basic requirements which need to be converted. So he designs the stories, like and all the collection of stories is called product backlog. Okay, so we'll discuss about those two again. So basically he is a person who takes the requirements, talk to the product owners, get those requirements documented, and to technical specifications are documented. And developer is the one, and there can be a UX designer in between, and he's the one who designs the outlook, like how it should look, or what are colors that go into. He designs a concept, something like interface. He designs the interface. Generally they provide screens, and they provide some wireframes, kind of stuff they provide. Like they provide top level outlook of how it should look, how a software should look. They will say like it should have a header, it should have a footer, it should have these buttons. When they click on this button, they need to navigate to this page, and where they should see this account information. All the concept they will design. So they will design this concept based on the business analyst requirement. So based on the requirement, they will design the concept, and developer will the person who will turn the requirements. These are the people who do the actual work to implementation. So they take the requirement, they work on the requirement, and then they will do the implementation. Means they develop the real product. They are the persons who do the real work in converting the development into development activity, something like turning the requirements into specific implementation. After doing that implementation part, quality analyst, or nowadays there are something like automation tester, or there are also called SDET. So these are the people who test the implementation, and they ensure the quality. Ensure the quality. So we have Scrum Master who reports the progress. He plans the process, how people should get the work, how they should done, and all those things. And he's the one who heads these meetings, especially, and except the refinement meeting. Refinement meeting is generally headed by a business analyst, and he decides all those things. Then the tech lead is a kind of a lead for a technical point of view. He's a lead for the technical point of view. And there can be a business analyst who gathers the requirements and converts the requirements into specifications. And UX designers designs the interface screens or wireframes and gives those wireframes and concepts to the developers. Again, developers convert those requirements or technical specifications into implementation. And yeah, then there comes the quality analyst or automation tester or SDET, who are the people test the implementation and ensure the quality, and they will check whether the requirements are met. So they ensure the requirements are met. So this is the total a team consists of. Generally, a team consists of these people. Okay, but there may not be like tech lead. Sometimes there may not be a tech lead, or sometimes there may not be a scrum master. Sometimes there may not be a business analyst. Some teams may have, may not have. Some teams may not have a developer too. Some teams may not have a quality analyst too. A developer may do the job of all these, or developers may share all these jobs. There can be no role itself. Like everybody can be a we can call them a team member, and they can do all these jobs. So these are the standard roles nowadays all the companies are working on, but there is no essentiality that all these people need to be there in the team. There can be these people, they may not be these people. They can have different names or things. Ultimately, these are the people who will take the work, do the work, and deliver the work or ensure the work quality. And these are the people who does all those things. And but generally, who they are there or not there, developers will be there for a team, because these people do the work. So generally these people will be there for sure, and others may or may not be there. So this is about a Scrum team structure. Like who all people? Scrum Master, Tech Lead, Business Analyst, UI or UX developers, Quality Analyst. And these people are also called as QA. And these people are also called as BA. So this is about the Scrum team. Okay. Next, coming to other people, there can be an architect who designs the technical plan of infrastructure or coding structure. So he designs a technical plan for the team. Sometimes architect there may not be architect, there might be architect for a whole company, or some teams share the architect. So he is who plans them, and he plans in the initial phases and may not be a part of team. Like team regularly may get an advice from architect regarding the work they are doing or new implementation they are taking up if they are doing. So architect, who is an architect generally. Subject matter experts. Subject matter experts are the one who has excessive knowledge in that business domain or that part of work, or who is kind of a point of reference if we have any questions or doubts in doing that work. For example, let us think a team is working to design a software for doing some medical intervention. So subject matter expert can be a doctor. Doctor can be a subject matter expert. So he knows what all, how the things goes. So the team may not know that medical process. So then subject matter expert might be a doctor. If it is the same thing with the insurance, then insurance account manager might be a subject matter expert. So who has command on the business domain or product. And there are other people like a project manager, like he might be supervising all the people, can be a supervisor in terms of money, time, skills, work, implementation. And there can be a product owner. Product owner is the one who comes with the vision or something like want to develop the software application. And there can be a client who uses the software or pays for the software, pays for the product. And there can be a CEO, who is a chief executive officer, and CTO, chief technical officer. These are all people called stakeholders who have some interest in that product. Okay, so this is about team structure and stakeholders. So this we have discussed today, and let's discuss some other things before going into the Scrum meetings. So we have something called user stories and product backlog. So the name itself says, so how a user story looks. So let me take. So generally a user story look like this. Okay. So they may say, okay, I want this to be done, and the priority is this, and this is the estimate like number of points that this user story may stand for. And here is what I want to do as some user. I want to develop a login functionality so that I may be able to securely enter into my account. as a I want, so that, and given I have credentials, when I click on the login button, when I provide my details and click on the login button, then I should be able to land on to the my account page. So like that a user story looks. So this is the general user story uh, template. There can be many other things like dependencies or some other related bugs or other things we can attach to the story. Who is doing this? Who asked the story to be developed? And this falls under which epic or which product? Many other details. There might be a number for this or other things. So this is a story template, how it looks. And like this, there can be many stories which forms into a backlog. So something you can say backlog is a collection of stories, that collection of stories for a product to be developed. So this is something like all the collection of stories. So we something like for a university student, there can be a backlog of subjects that need to be completed or passed. Similarly, product backlog is a collection of stories that need to be completed to develop that product or software. So you can think like product backlog is a collection of stories. So user stories, product backlog. So sorry. So product backlog is something like a collection of all the stories. Okay. So product backlog can have many user stories. Okay. When you open this, you can understand. A product backlog is something like all these stories, these 6 stories collection is called a product backlog. So that's a product backlog. It's just a collection of stories so that the product, whatever the product need to be done, they are all the requirements goes into each story, and they divide all the requirements into many stories, and the collection of those stories is called a product backlog. Once the product backlog is totally developed, then we are done with the product development. And that's about the product backlog. And they will take few stories from the product backlog, and they will work in a sprint. Sprint is like 2 weeks of work or 4 weeks of work. So they will work those stories in one sprint, and whatever the stories left over, they will take to the next sprint, and they will add some more stories, and they will work on, they means team will work on those stories again in the next sprint, and they will do all the sprints until they complete this product backlog. So sprint is something like you take the stories and complete those stories in 2 weeks or 1 week, and then again take the remaining stories, and then you complete that. This is simple, same thing to something like a semester for a student. So semester, something like 6 months or 3 months of time in which they take 4 to 6 subjects and they complete that subject, and then they move on to next semester. They take the remaining subjects and they complete those subjects, and they will complete all the 20 or 30 subjects they have like that, and then they are called the graduate, or they can hold the degree. Similarly, the similar fashion, the same analogy is for the product backlog and sprint backlog. So product backlog is the collection of all stories. Sprint backlog is only the collection of the stories that we are going to work in that particular sprint. So that's the other thing about sprint backlog. So this is for today class. And do you have any questions on today's class?
No.
Okay. So yeah, so I will just give a brief overview what we have discussed today.